is an introduction to Maya. In this video, I'm going to transform you from someone who's just opening up Maya for the first time to someone who can speak confidently about the following. Number one is project setup. Before we even start creating something or anything, it's very important that we set up our project properly. Learning to organize your files early on is a good habit that every artist must build. For the next one, we are going to learn how to move yourself around the scene. That's viewport navigation. You will learn how to orbit, pan, and zoom around your project smoothly. So you're not stuck at looking at one angle like this. The next are the transformation tools. These are the basic tools that we're going to be using every single day in Maya. They let you move, rotate, and scale your objects in the scene. And finally, we're gonna go through the hotkeys that professionals use all the time. Hotkeys will be your BFF. They help you work faster without having to click those menus all the time. You'll start memorizing the main ones as we go, and before you know it, you'll be moving, scaling, and switching tools like a pro. Muscle memory. If you're curious about how this stuff actually works in the industry, stick around to the end of the video where I share pro tips. This is Rosie. Welcome to Rosie Renders. Let's get into it. So, if you're on the desktop and you just installed Maya for the first time, we're gonna double click Autodesk Maya. I'm using 2024. So Maya takes a while sometimes, so let's just wait for a bit. Okay, so we are greeted by this screen. So either I go to Maya on the top right of the screen, or I can just select new, this new button right here. So here is what Maya looks like when we open it up. There's a lot of buttons, but we don't have to be overwhelmed because we're gonna do it step by step, and it's alright. We got this. So let's start by saving this empty project so we can easily find it later. So what I want to do is go to File, Project Window right here. And when you see Project Window, you will see the current project, which is called Default, and the location that points to my Documents folder. Because when you first installed Maya, it will automatically create a folder in your Documents folder with the Maya folder in it and the projects. So that will be the default location for our project. So what if I want to save it somewhere else? So what I'm gonna do is select or click New, this button right here, and then it will enable the folder so we can browse the location that we want to save our files to. So I click that folder. So yeah, by default it goes to Save Users, Rosie, Documents, Maya, Projects, Default. And here we're going to be seeing a lot of different folders, which we're going to talk about later. So I want to save it in my documents, let's say. I want to save it in my Project Z, for example, that is my dedicated space for work or for project and everything. So I just double click it and I go to Rosie Renders. And then, since it's a 3D project, I want to organize my folders. I put like 2D, 3D assets and files. So since we're doing a 3D project, I'm gonna put it inside a 3D folder. So double click. I have XYZ. What if I have a project that is called Project R? So we're inside the 3D folder and I want it to be here alongside X, Y, and Z project. So I'm just gonna hit select. So that way our project goes straight to the 3D folder. But since we want it to be called Project R, I'm gonna rename this to project _R and hit accept. It's not gone. We just have to go to that folder. In my case, that's on my Z drive, Rosie Renders 3D. There we have it, Project R with X, Y, and Z. So we double click Project R and we see different folders that correspond to the various assets that we have. We have our Maya scene that we're working on right now it will go straight to the scenes folder once we save it. If we have textures, it goes to source images. If, for example, we started rendering, our render outputs go to the images folder. And if we're doing play blast, which means when we do like camera animations or character animation and we want to do like a preview of the animation before rendering, it goes to movies. There's just a lot of things that we're gonna talk about, but as I said, we're gonna do it one step at a time. So now we know that we already created our project R. We can now try and save. Let's try and save it. File, save as. There you go. When we save it, it goes to our project R. Let's say our project is called demo_version 001. It's saved. Just to make sure that we are working on that project, what we're gonna do is to go to File, Set Project, and I have to click this, double click, and then Set. That will confirm that we are working on that specific project, Project R. Pro tip, if we want to save very quickly, we just have to press Ctrl S, and that will save it. I always like to go and save as different versions. Let's say this is version 2, because sometimes Maya crashes. Also because sometimes you want to make changes on a specific file, and sometimes you want to go back to the previous one. You see what I mean? Sometimes when you make like a lot of changes in one file and you didn't like it, it's a good thing to have like backup copies of those old files, so you can just go back and open them if you don't want the file that you're working on right now. So it's just safety. So usually after I set up my project, what I usually want to do is to change my preference settings, and that preference settings can be found in Windows, Settings or Preferences, or there's an icon, there's a button at the bottom of the screen right here. So what I usually want to do is the time slider. Which frame rate are we using? I usually want my frame rate to be 25, but sometimes if I want smoother animations, I'd go for 60. Yeah, so that's how you set your frame rate. Then I would go to settings and what kind of working units you want to work on with. If I'm working on architectural projects, for example, I'd go with meters. So let's say I click meters and press save. 1 square here represents a meter. 2 squares, 2 meters. So I think it's easier to do it like that. But if you're working on like little items, for example, you can go lower. Maybe later for the donut tutorial, I'm gonna be using centimeter. Alright, now let's talk about the viewport navigation. But for now, let's create a sphere, just so we have like something to move around. So to create a sphere, I go to Create, Polygon Primitives, Sphere. Now we have a sphere. I would just left click outside to unselect the sphere. And to select the sphere, you just click it once using your left mouse button. And if you notice, once you select it, it gets selected here on our outliner. This is what we call the outliner. This is basically where all our assets, all our shapes, our polygons, we can see it right here. And right now, our sphere is called P Sphere 1. It's a bit boring, no? So maybe we can call it a ball. Okay, we call it a ball. Yes, so now we have a ball. What if I want to see the ball up close? So what I'm gonna press is F, letter F on your keyboard, and it will frame your ball. So that is really cool. So now I want to move around my sphere, and how I do it is I press and hold Alt, my left mouse button, all together at the same time, hold it, and then just drag it or move it like this. Using again Alt left mouse button, you can rotate around your object like this, like that. And then you just release the fingers from the key and from the mouse. If I want to pan left, right, up and down, what I want to do is to hold down again Alt, and this time my middle mouse button. It's very important to have what we call it in school a 3D mouse. This is something with a roller wheel and a middle mouse button and a left and a right. Right now I'm using an Maxx Anywhere 2 mouse. I think this is so far my favorite. I can bring it anywhere I want. If you want to pan left, right, up and down, we just hold down Alt, middle mouse button, hold it, and then just move your mouse left, just move your mouse right, up and down, shake it to the left. Yeah, that's how you pan. And then you can just release. All right, so after we learned panning, we will learn zoom. How do we zoom in and out, or dolly our camera? So that is using the scroller wheel right here. So you scroll it down and up, down and up, down, 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 up, 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 like that. Usually the combination is pan and then zoom out, pan, pan, pan. And again, with time and practice, like speed follows after. And that'll be the coolest thing ever when you realize that, wow, I can already do it very, very quickly. So now we know how to orbit, to pan, and to zoom in and out. Sorry, zoom out and zoom in. We're good. So the next thing we will learn is the transformation tools. How do we move, rotate, and scale the sphere? Actually, now that we have a sphere in our scene, this is the perfect time to save. Just press Ctrl S, and right there, it's saved. This is a good example. Hold on. Before we move to the transformation tools, let me show you other more tricks. So if you press spacebar once, it will show you different camera views. We have the perspective, we have here the top view, the front seat, and the side. What if I want to model and I want to quickly go to the top camera? So what I have to do is just point my mouse on that screen and press spacebar. And now we have like a huge view of the top view. If I tap the spacebar again, it'll go back to the many views, many camera views, and then I just have to point my mouse to the view that I want. For example, back to perspective, then I'm in my perspective again. You just have to do it like quickly. Pro, pro, pro. Another pro tip. If you don't need the buttons and you just want to make the object very, very big so you can see it even more, I always like to use Ctrl spacebar. Just Ctrl spacebar. Like that. Ctrl spacebar, Ctrl spacebar, Ctrl spacebar. If you know your tools, your shortcuts and everything, you can do it like this. I call it the Pro Max mode. Not just the Pro, but with the Max. So yeah, pressing Ctrl spacebar gives us all our tools, all our panels and everything. While we are on our viewport, let me teach you something. If I select my ball right here and zoom in a little bit, it's a little bit jaggy. So if I press number 3, it smoothens it out. And then if I want to go back to that jaggy, liney kind of edgy sphere, I just go and press 1. If you press 2, it's like in between 1 and 3. You see the smooth sphere, the smooth ball, but still you can still see the jaggy edges around here. All right, if I press 4, we're gonna be seeing the wireframe. How do I go back to our shaded mode is number 5. If you press number 6, if you have textures, you will see the applied texture on your object. Right now we don't have it, so we're just going to press number 5 for our shaded display. Just for recap, we press 3 for smooth, 4 for wireframe, 5 for shaded, 6 for texture mode. One of the most useful keyboard shortcuts that I always use, especially if I'm modeling, is the Alt+B. If you press and hold on Alt and B at the same time, and you do it a bunch of times, you can see that our viewport background changes colors. This is important for visibility. It's easier to see a certain thing on a certain background. So before we move to the transformation tools, let me introduce you to our channel box editor. What is the channel box editor and what does it do? If we select our object, which is the ball right here, when the ball is selected and we go to the right corner of our screen, we see channel box, attribute, modeling toolkit. So for the channel box right here, you click it and then it gets hidden. You click it again, it comes back. Or you can press Ctrl A to kind of toggle which one you want to see. Channel box, attribute, modeling. Just press Ctrl A, just like that. Just like how we press Ctrl B for this, we could press Ctrl A for that. If you press outside in the screen and you're not selecting the ball and you press Ctrl A, you won't see anything because there's no object that has been selected in the scene. So the default values for the sphere or for an object that we always create in Maya is for the translate and the rotate is 0. For scale, it's always 1. That's the beginning. Because if we make it 0, because we scale it down to 0. If we press 0.5, for example, half the size, like that. If we make it 1 again, it'll go back to its original scale, which is 1. To have this visibility, this can be helpful in animation later. Let's say we don't want to see it. We just put the visibility to off. So that is our translate, rotate, scale in our channel box. Now let's talk about the transformation tools. So we still have this legendary ball right here, majestic. We select the object and then if we press Q, we are on our select mode. Just basically allows us to click the object that we want so we don't accidentally kind of move them or scale them or anything. We just have to press Q and select them. If we want to move the ball, we press W on our keyboard and that will show arrows, 3 arrows for different directions, X, Y, and Z. The yellow color signifies what's been selected. If you go on our viewport screen, there's like a small arrows, X, Y, and Z. There's different colors that corresponds to those axes. Select using the left mouse button that arrow and then move. We are moving, we are translating, that's the term. We are moving and we are translating our ball. And if you look at our channel box editor, notice that the translate X is changing. So if we move to the right, it's increasing from 0 in the middle to now we have 6.493. We go to the left, we get a negative value. So I want to go back to my original position. So I press 0 because that is the default for translate, remember? If I want to move it on the Z-axis, I just have to press the blue arrow and then just move it just like that. And again, in our channel box editor, you will see the number that corresponds to the movement that we're doing with the sphere. So if I want to move it up and down, and that is the Y-axis right here. So now that we moved a bunch, for example, I also moved it in X. Oh no, we want to move it to the main, to the origin, to the main point of our grid. We can do it like one by one, like this, Ctrl Z. to undo, Ctrl Z to undo. But we can also do left mouse click, select this one and drag down, and then press 0, and you can do it like that, all at once, all at once. And if I press the middle mouse button and drag it, let's zoom in a little bit so we can see. Press the middle mouse button and hold it, you can basically move freely. Again, click, drag, 0, enter, press enter. I think I forgot that a while ago. So another pro tip, press and hold X, that is snapping to the grid. So the next tool is the rotate tool, and that is the letter E on your keyboard. Just press E, and you can see we have like handlebars right here. So we have the red one again for X, blue for the Z, and yellow right now is for Y. It's yellow because it's selected. So let's zoom in a little bit. If I want to rotate an X, I just have to hold down the handlebar with my left mouse button and hold the left mouse button and just move it. Another shortcut key is if you press and hold letter J on your keyboard and then try to move around X, for example, hold down the handlebar with your left mouse button, you can see that it is rotating in an increment of 15, 45, 60, 75. And for our last tool is our scale tool, and that is by pressing letter R on your keyboard. So what we can do is to scale it uniformly or non-uniformly. If I scale it from the middle right here and then drag, it scales on X, Y, and Z. It's uniform. What we can also do is to scale it X, just in X, just like that. Okay? Or I can scale it in Z, just like that. So we can do a lot of stuff, right? So we go back, we put 0, enter. I keep forgetting. It should be 1. It's easy to forget. I think for the last example, I want this ball to be on top of a table. I want to create a table. So I go to Create, Polygon, Plane. If we go to our wireframe mode, I press 4. There it is. There is our plane. So that is one way of showing how helpful it is to be able to go to our wireframe mode. So now I want the table to be a little bit bigger. So just move it, zoom a little bit, zoom out. While the plane is being selected, I can go ahead and scale. Remember our scale button, which is letter R. Here on our channel box, let's say I make it 10. So we have like a good number right there. If I kind of like frame it a little bit and press 5 so we can see how it looks like in the shaded mode, our ball is not sitting right on our table, right? So what we're gonna do is select the ball and move it using W and move it up a little bit, right there. And then just kind of like see. And this is what is helpful. If we press spacebar, I just want to see the side view, for example, right here. I just want to see the side view right here, for example. Press spacebar again, zoom in. So we know that the table is right in this line right here. So we want our ball to be a little bit on top like that. All right, so while we're here, I'll show you another tip. This is our pivot point. It's basically the spot where our objects moves, rotates, or scales around. It is basically the center of the gravity of our object. It's like the hinge of a door. See what I mean? The pivot of the hinge of the door is this point right here. But I think I want the pivot to be right here at the bottom, right here. I want the pivot to be right here. So what I want to do is press and hold two different keys this time. Letter D and letter V for victory. Hold them together, and while holding it, press and hold your middle mouse button and just kind of like select the bottom part of the sphere, just like that. And then release. And if we try and scale right now, do you see what I mean? The control is from the bottom. If I want to rotate it, for example, press and hold J, remember. See, it spins like that from the pivot. What if I want my pivot to be in the center again? While the object is selected right here, I go to modify and just hit and select center pivot. That way, if we select our object and try and rotate it, it rotates from the middle of our object. So again, if we press undo, so our pivot is back on the bottom again, just to see the difference. If the pivot is in the bottom, so we make it 1. Oh, sorry, we make this 0. And again, if we go to modify center pivot and then rotate it, that will be very, very helpful next time. Let's make this 0. So now, if we go back to our perspective, we just press. We have a ball on top of a table. So now, if we select the ball right here, you can see that in the channel box editor, it says 0.994 right here. It's because we moved it a little bit, remember? Just so it goes on top of the table. I want this, for example, as the starting point or the main position of the object. I want to keep it clean by making it all 0 and 1. I go to modify and then freeze transformation. If I select this, look at what will happen to our channel box editor. Ready? 1, 2, 3. We tell Maya that from now on that we freeze transformed it, this is the main position of the object. Just makes it really clean here as well. The only thing is, if you have a rigged object, you don't freeze transform because it will make problems with your rig. So yeah, just a heads up. Now that we have our ball on top of the table, we just press save again. We Ctrl S. So yeah, I think that's it. We learned how to set our project properly. We learned how to navigate our viewport smoothly and to use the transformation tools and use the hotkeys that are very, very important, especially if you want to speed up your work. And by the way, I'm gonna put the hotkeys list on a PDF and I'm gonna attach it on the video and you can just download it. So yeah, if you still want to continue learning, you're welcome to watch Pro Tips. Let's talk about something that sounds a bit technical, but really it's fairly simple once you start to visualize it. Relative versus absolute path. So what is a path? So path is basically Maya's way of remembering where your files are saved, like your textures, your images, or references. There are two ways Maya could remember these paths: absolute and relative. Remember, for absolute path, Maya remembers the full address of the file, starting from the drive that you saved it to. I think that's the main clue. Absolute, the drive letter. I mean, it works fine if you're the only one who's using the project on your computer. But if you move the project to a different computer or a different drive, that path breaks because Maya is looking for that exact address and couldn't find it anymore. However, relative path is like saying, hey Maya, just look inside my bag. I mean, my project folder. So instead of the full address, it uses a shortcut from your project folder. It might look like this. This way, even if you zip the folder or send it to someone else, or open it in a new computer, Maya will still find all your files because it's using relative directions inside the same project folder. The pro tip is always use your relative paths. This is very, very important if you're working with a team or planning to move your files to a different machine. Imagine a lot of missing textures for different projects, different folders. It will save you a lot of headaches later. So yeah, that's it for our pro tip. Thanks for hanging out, guys. If you find this video helpful, just hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.